Hope y'all are all having a great Thursday. It's February 2nd, and today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. I'm going to start off by talking about just ongoing stuff in the South, like rain-wise. You have a lot of rain in some areas, uh, and then we're also just going to be talking about, for a good portion of the video, the extreme cold potential in the likely kind of extreme cold event that we're going to see in the Northeast this weekend, or really starting tomorrow and Saturday. We'll talk about that. Then we're going to look into the long range a little bit, but I hope y'all are all doing very well. It's Thursday. And yeah, so currently this is radar. We're looking at northern Georgia. And we have some stuff in the way of showers as you go, or I mean, pretty much for most of northern Georgia here. Atlanta, some pockets of like light to moderate rain, with even some heavy rain. I noticed that. And then even across central Georgia, it seems like we have some like heavier showers trying to form in front of this, like in the Dublin area, in between Dublin and Macon, or I guess down by Dublin and Eastman actually. As I'm making this a pretty good shower over Eastman, heading up towards Silverton and maybe Adrian and Swainsboro eventually, over towards the Birmingham area in central Alabama. If this would load, yeah, we have pretty very similar situation there. To the west, if this will load. Uh, I'm here. We're just looking at northern Mississippi. Yeah, yes, it's gonna take a second. Maybe this radar is just down. That's one thing I don't like about this is you can never tell if the about GR2 is one thing you can't tell if radars are just down or not. It's kind of that radar is down. Okay, but yeah, so we see a similar situation with that precip like in the Jackson, Mississippi area there. That's kind of the backside though, and then as you go back into like Texas, we have some more rain on the backside of this with some freezing rain mixing in still over in Texas, although some areas did get above freezing today, helping for that ice to melt. Also, same deal up in Arkansas, we have some freezing rain mixing in. And then even, I mean, the radar even indicates some snow ongoing in some of these areas here. I kind of doubt that, but I definitely think some higher elevations will see snow. We're gonna look at that in just a second. But first, let's talk about or actually, let's just go and talk about that because that really wouldn't make sense to talk about it the other way. So, let me get the HRRR model pulled up here. Yes, and pretty much as we go throughout tonight, we're just going to be seeing snow in areas of western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, higher elevations, and then it even shifts into northern Georgia on the backside of that, on the backside of the low, or not the low, the backside of the rain. We take a look at like total snowfall accumulations expected, very very minimal accumulations. I mean, we're looking at like a trace in some higher elevations, maybe up to like a quarter or a half inch. Definitely not a big system, not a big deal at all. And if we go back to like the 22Z it goes out a little further. It does indicate a little winter event Friday over in or tomorrow over in coastal North Carolina and areas of South Carolina there. That's pretty interesting. Yes, we just see some heavy snow mix in with that rain, which leads to some I mean, that'd be interesting if we see accumulations. Cause why is there just a cold pocket there? I don't understand that. But yeah, I mean, so if this happens, we could be maybe seeing some like heavy wet. I think we have the chance of seeing definitely some heavy wet snow in some of these areas here. But I question the accumulations though because it is going to be a little bit warm, or it will have been like warm a little bit beforehand, like still in the 40s. So I mean road temps will probably be a little bit above freezing. So I mean, it shouldn't be too many impacts, but it will be good. It will be cool to see in some of those areas. I don't think there's gonna be anything to the west in Georgia or South Carolina. Like higher elevations, we'll see something most likely, but as you get further south, most likely not. Uh, yeah, so that's pretty much that. That rain will be completely gone for like northern central Georgia by like tomorrow late morning. Still in South Georgia, and then even maybe some storms across central Florida there. Not really gonna look into those too much, but Yeah. So looking at, I want to go back to this. So current temperatures across the Northeast. We're looking at temperatures right about freezing in the New York City area, up near Boston, right about like right around freezing as well. I mean, most areas kind of north of the like D.C., like Baltimore area, are below freezing, even along the coast. Some 20s across the interior, Northeast. Like I mean, definitely an above average temperatures like, in most areas here, especially as you go further west into like these areas here. These are above average for this time of year. But that's going to change for about 1 day or 2 days, I guess. We can see Maine is pretty cold though. Even some teens, most likely, multiple locations. Uh, but if we take a look at forecasted temperatures off the HRRR model here, as we go into tonight, we quickly see this front pushing straight out of uh, Ontario and Quebec there into the Northeast. I mean, these temperatures drop very quickly across northern New York, and then they continue. I mean, by let's see here. So this is we'll go back to 3 a.m. here, and we're already looking at temperatures in the negatives across northern New York, some spotty negatives across northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and starting to push into Maine. Like New York City's 30, about 30, but then like Binghamton's 10 already. And then I mean like up in upstate New York. I mean Albany's only like 17 still, because you're Albany has that warm pocket because of the Hudson River lower elevation. But then up in like upstate, like very far up in New York, we see temperatures already in the negatives. Uh, 5 a.m. here, negative 17 in northern New York. Uh, Looking at teens just outside of the New York City area and like southeast New York. Starting to push into northern New Jersey, a good bit of Pennsylvania there. Also, some single digits likely in the northern part of the state. Definitely starting to see those temperatures drop in the New York City area, probably already into the 20s, and then by 7 a.m. temperatures continue to drop still. Like I mean, some temperatures probably approaching negative 20 in areas of like northern or kind of like northern and western Maine. This area here, like the areas closest to Canada, pretty much could be already like well below zero tomorrow morning. Uh, and then as you go further south, we can see Albany's 1 degree. Across areas like in this area, like northeast PA, northern New Jersey, southeast New York, we got mainly teens, but definitely some single digits in some of the more rural areas. Same thing over in areas of northeast Ohio, western PA. Starting to push into the Boston area 216. And temperatures in New York City will probably go under 20 at this time. And we see by 9 a.m. we're still seeing that cold air push in. I mean, negatives are like almost to the coast of Maine. And I mean the sun's out or not, or probably the sun will be out, but it's just like daylight at this time. That's what I'm trying to say. And temperatures are still dropping. We're in the teens in Long Island. I mean, this is some cold we haven't seen for a while for most areas since like January 31st, 2019. Uh, but I mean, yeah. So the HRRR does sometimes overdo cold. So it could be a little cold especially for these high temperatures on Friday, like that we're looking at now. Like these temperatures tomorrow afternoon, I definitely up those a couple of degrees in some areas. But I mean, either way, I mean we're gonna be looking at highs probably or temperatures tomorrow afternoon, probably making it up to about like the mid to upper teens, in New York City. Uh, Lower teens across like this area here, or not really lower teens. Well, some areas lower teens, but then single digits and negatives across there, like northern New York, most of Vermont, most of New Hampshire, and a good portion of Maine will probably be in the negatives tomorrow. Binghamton, we can see a -2 there. And I mean, even cold all the way in the northeast Ohio. I mean, Cleveland's 12. I think Youngstown. I think that's Youngstown right there. I think that's 10. Well, I'd say it is 10, but I think that's Youngstown. And this cold air does actually push all the way, into the Mid Atlantic region here, with like DC at 26, and probably a high around like in the upper 20s, maybe around 30 tomorrow afternoon. Now keep in mind though, some of these high temperatures might be. I mean, this is very annoying though because this happens. This happened with like here with the December cold blast. Like the high temperature is 48, even though we only got up to like 22 in the afternoon. So I mean, keep in mind like the high by high temperatures, I just mean like afternoon temperatures. Uh, Now like of course official high temperatures are from midnight to midnight, like for a specific date. So like it'll be from like about this time here. So like what DC's high could be like 37, even though like in the afternoon it's a lot colder. Uh, by Oh yeah, also down in the North Carolina it'll be cold on Friday too. I mean highs in the 40s for most of the state, with some 30s probably in the northern regions. And then by by 7 p.m. Saturday, we're already or Friday, already looking at those single digit temperatures pushing down in the New York City, most of Long Island, well, negative 25 in areas of a large amount of Maine. Uh, so very cold. Binghamton's -2, Albany's -4, uh, and this temperatures just continue to drop. By Saturday morning, like it seems like peak. Yeah, this is like when we get our right here. So like we are gonna be looking at temperatures like potentially like below -30 or probably like around -30. In areas near the Canadian border in Maine. Same thing. Areas of border Ontario and Quebec and northern New York. Uh, and then I mean these negatives could push all the way down to New Jersey, northern New Jersey, northern PA, all the way to the coast potentially. For most of Connecticut, I mean, like coastal Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Uh, I mean, New York City. Okay, like I mean, the city of New York. Uh, could will it's hard to tell if they're gonna get below zero. I definitely think some places out, like some personal weather stations in this area, maybe more like rural areas of Long Island, could potentially. I know there's not a whole lot of like rural areas of Long Island, but areas that aren't like in a city, uh, or like generally in town, uh, could probably. I think some personal motions will read below zero, but if we get like an official station, like official airport station, ASOS, a station that actually do that, I'd be pretty surprised. But it's there's a good chance it'll happen. I mean, definitely. I mean, even if it doesn't happen, it'll be right to the north of New York City, where we could potentially we'll probably see that. Uh, Look at these temperatures all the way down into Maryland, or all the way down like the D.C., Baltimore area in the single digits, all the way down to like northern North Carolina. We have teens. Uh, and then the southeast doesn't really get in on any of this like really cold air. The southeast is just like average, pretty much. With the exception of Florida. Florida's above average. Uh, and maybe this area right here, the random like pocket of warm air. I don't. This is actually for this is it's actually tomorrow. So let me go to Saturday morning here. But yeah, so I mean, 30. So yeah, pretty much everywhere is about average. Uh, in the south at least, or like slightly below average. So yeah, that's those temperatures there. And now I want to go over to the GFS model, and I want to talk a little bit about what we can expect as we go into next week. So really, a couple things we could be watching is we'll have a little bit of a quiet period this weekend into next week, to the beginning of next week. This little system around Monday into Tuesday, like Monday, Tuesday time frame, like February 6th and February 7th. Uh, Pretty strong or pretty deep low up in Canada with a little bit with a front down across the U.S. Just some rain and maybe some snow in the interior Northeast, and I mean not really many impacts. But then around the 8th and the 9th, we see this system come out of the southern plains here. This is kind of what we want to watch here. This is Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, February 8th. This is 6 days out, so keep in mind some of this is going to change. We have a nice little winter storm event across areas in the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, northeastern New Mexico, and southeast Colorado. But this could potentially be our next severe weather threat. I mean, it's hard to tell though at this time, but that's not what I wanted. I want upper air wind. Yeah, there we go. We have this nice looking low, pretty much just completely cut off from the jet stream. Kind of why we have all that helping to like produce all that snow. And I mean, this definitely looks like a decent little threat or decent severe weather event. Let me go back to the European here. You can take a look at what the Euro has. Very similar event, although it does move a little quicker. We can see by Wednesday at the same time, it's about like we'd be seeing the potential a little like much further east into like areas of like Kentucky, like the Ohio Valley, the southeast, or not the southeast, really, it's deep south. Uh, we'd see that shift pretty far east there. But yeah, so I mean we can see that in the Euro as well. Probably we'll be looking at some type of a winter storm that would cross areas of the central U.S., probably all the way down in the southern plains, like the southern like areas of Texas, Oklahoma. Not the same areas that are really getting dumped with like uh dumped up like with freezing rain for the past 3 days. Not those areas, but like the areas that more frequently get snow. Uh, and then up at the Kansas, we can see a little bit of snow with the Euro. Definitely a different solution than the GFS though. But either way, we'd probably start to see uh, an increased severe weather threat. We can see these dew points here. That very moist air dews into like the 60s here. If I zoom in a little bit, should be able to see that better. Yeah, so like Tuesday, we have dews in the 60s across many areas. Wednesday, got all that moisture. I mean, all the way up to like area like the St. Louis area. The GFS is, take a look here. Yeah, GFS we can see Wednesday. It's much further south. Our severe weather threat would probably also not be as significant. It's kind of hard to tell though. It's a different type of event than what the Euro has, but very similar. We see that when we see those dew points wrap all the way up into the Midwest, with probably another severe weather event across the South. That's kind of what we're looking at. I'm thinking next Wednesday and Thursday are really the main days we're gonna want to watch. But really Tuesday through Thursday potentially will probably be the time frame we're looking at. And there's one other thing I wanted to look at, and that is not it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the GFS also has that a pretty similar low track to the Euro. I think it's pretty similar. So definitely, I think we could be looking at some type of a severe weather like event across like many areas of the country. Probably mainly, most likely in this area here. But as we go in the next week, I would definitely want to watch for like this, like not many severe weather threats, but like this with this system, we'll probably see the increased potential for severe weather. This will probably be our next severe weather event. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy the video, and I should be back either tomorrow or Saturday. But yeah, thank you for watching.